Hello and welcome. I'm Professor Khalid Khan from University of Granada in Spain. Today, we'll talk about a very interesting subject. This concerns the use of artificial intelligence in the process of scientific peer review. To discuss this topic with me, I have Dr. Luca Nardussi. Luca, please could you introduce yourself?
Hi, thank you for inviting me. My name is Luca. I am a former researcher of the University of Granada. And since January, I started this Review Pro, that is a startup that aims to improve the peer review process in scientific publications, and by that, improve science.
Okay, thank you. In today's video, we will cover the basics of what is peer review, what tools exist that can be used for peer review, and finally, what is the future of the responsible publication process with respect to assessment of articles. So, Luca, to begin with, could you just explain briefly what is peer review?
So, when we talk about peer review, we are talking about the basics of science. When we do science, we do research, and every research, once we have results, needs to be published in journals. This is an example of a journal. This is the British Journal of Sports Medicine, and where researchers publish generally research related to sports and medicine. And but before the publication, there is all a process that is called peer review, and where basically the research is submitted to a journal, and the journal has, of course, an editor. The editor makes an initial screening and then submit this research to other scientists that actually are responsible for the validation of this research. These scientists are known as peers, and of course the process is called peer review. And they do a revision and then they submit their opinion to the editor, and the editor makes the choice. And at the end, the idea is to have a external validation of the
So,
research.
well, thank you for explaining that. But a normal person would think, what the hell has artificial intelligence got to do with all this?
So, artificial intelligence is a new technology that actually aims to emulate, to simulate, and perform tasks that generally require human intelligence, such reasoning, decision making, and problem solving. And so, the artificial intelligence has been developed especially in the analysis of text. That is so can be very useful in the generation of scientific articles, but also in their validation.
All right. So let's talk now about how these tools can be applied to peer review. To begin with, could you tell us what is the experience of peer reviewers themselves?
So, when I was a scientist, I had the impression that not no no one was enjoying peer review, and we did a survey actually last December, and this is the result was actually really no one was happy with it. Because the peer review, there are many tasks to perform during peer review. This you need to check the validity of the results, if the conclusions are correct, if the references are correct, if the text is comprehensible, and if the ideas that are in it are comprehensible. So this is very difficult, and at the end of the day, the reviewers are overloaded with tasks. AI could actually deal with it, help the reviewers to understand, to read the text quicker, and they are more consistent than a general reviewer, and they also identify methodological flaws.
All right, so you have created a classification of the tools. Could you tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, so at Review Pro, we are working to generating a platform that actually uses different tools to perform a complete peer review of the article, at least from a AI point of view. There are different tools that we can use. Some of them are related to language and readability analysis, plagiarism, some others to citation and context validation, of course, statistical methodological checks, and there are tools already that they do to perform a complete report.
Okay, so let's take each one of them individually. What about the language tools?
So these language tools, they actually check if they are able to check if a text is comprehensible and to suggest improvement. Um, Basically, when we are authors and we write a text, we think that something is correct and is very clear, but maybe for someone else is not so clear. So these tools can help you to improve your style, to write in better English, or also they work with other languages. The problem with these tools is that they are mostly of them freemium. So you can use the basic version for free, but if you want an accurate analysis, you have to pay for it.
Okay, so perhaps the authors are using a basic version, but the peer reviewer should use a more advanced version so they can give a more a positive form of feedback to improve the manuscript to the authors.
Exactly. Very important.
All right, let's move on.
So this is another issue. Since the advent of AI, authors they are using AI for to generate text, and journals they don't really, they didn't stand for it, not nor against it, not for it. And so the problem with this is mostly there are two main problems. First of all, references. AI may use the information coming from other journals, other papers, which may not be cited. And this is a problem in science. We always cite, we give credits to the people that generate ideas or results. And the second problem is that AI sometimes, being a statistical model, basically mathematical models, they may hallucinate. We call it hallucination. It means that they generate false informations.
Mhm.
And this is a big problem. So we need to check if a text and a result has been generated by AI, and there are tools to doing so, and to verify also if the authors declared the use of AI or not in their article.
Okay, it's important here to highlight that the majority of the world's researchers don't have English as their native language. And therefore, they are beginning to rely on these language tools that we refer to in this slide in front of you. They are, of course, required by journal editors to declare that they have used these technologies for writing. But obviously, they may or may not be aware of this regulation, or by error may not have acknowledged the use of these tools. Peer reviewers, by using these tools, have the ability to detect whether uh, ChatGPT or other large language model has been employed. And if it has been employed, they can then double check whether they have been employed correctly and have not resulted in errors in the manuscript.
Exactly, this is the idea. We need to always check correctness and fairness in scientific publications. So this is why we check for AI text generated by the AI.
Okay, interesting for our audience. In the past, before rules existed, even some authors have named ChatGPT as a co author on some occasions in order to be completely honest and transparent. Of course, this is now no longer recommended,
Mm,
and the use of ChatGPT or other such tools should be included in the methods or acknowledgement.
yes, exactly. It's a method, it's a tool, it's not an author, but it can help with
Yeah.
many tasks. But of course, it's still a tool.
Okay, so let's move on.
Yeah, and other tools that go a little bit more in deep is are these tools that check for plagiarism and originality. The idea is that if some results are coming from someone else, or simply some text is coming from some other research, these tools can actually find out and flag it, because this is very plagiarism and lack of originality are very big issues in scientific research, and you always have to mention the other person, or is without declaration of any declaration it is forbidden. So these are really important tools.
See, so you should not make false claims of originality. That's highly important.
Yeah.
How can the citation tools help in this?
So this is also still related to the same topic. Let's say citations, all the references that are in a journal are related. need to be related to the relevant to the research that we are performing.
Mhm.
So these tools are able to check if a citation, first of all, a reference cited correctly, but also they can check if they are relevant to this specific research, because sometimes authors they might cite our research because they just know it, or maybe just the research of someone else that they know, so there is some kind of favoritism, or sometimes they just do it because it sounds nice and it's an important research, but it's not really relevant to this. So these tools can then actually, or they miss citations. This is another
Mhm.
problem. They miss some citation that might be important to them. So these tools can help the reviewers to suggest better citations and to check if the current citation that are reported in an article are correct.
Yes, there have been many citation manipulation scandals, and these tools will have the ability to pick them up. And peer reviewers using these tools will be able to make suggestions to authors as to how to improve the relevance of citations. But what if the tools do not have access to papers that are behind a paywall or behind a subscription?
This is still an issue. So the tools, the AI tools, they have all access to every text that is open access.
Mhm.
So including, of course, abstract of paywall research. So they have access to their abstract, but not to the content. This is a current issue because, of course, these tools are going to suggest open access research more than paywall research. The solution can be either we give access to them to all the paywall research, or we just publish everything in open access. This is
In any case, the world is moving towards open access.
yes,
I believe at this moment, over 30% of only a 30% of the literature is under subscription. But with time, it is hoped that 100% of the literature will be open access. At that time, this limitation will automatically disappear.
sure.
Moving forward,
Yeah, so this is another part is more about the methodological and the statistical. So these tools are able to actually check if the experimental design and the statistics of the study are correct. This is very interesting because in many fields, maybe the researchers may not be very expert on the statistics. They're not statisticians, and so this may help also to see if it's correct, if it can be proved. And another tools that also are used is tools for generating complete review reports. So they are generally they check the introduction, the abstract, and methods and results, and they suggest little improvements to all of them. Up to now, the improvements are a bit superficial, and sometimes they don't really go in deep because they're not expert in everything, but they are getting there. They're getting better day by day.
so it's very important that when a peer reviewer uses artificial intelligence tools, the use of such tools should be declared in their peer review report.
Exactly. This must be declared also because we said before that AI may hallucinate during the generation of the text, but also may hallucinate during the revision of the text. So
Mhm.
we need to say when we use it, how to double check it.
All right. So where do we stand now?
So up to now, up to 2023, journals didn't want to know about AI. For them was like the devil, let's say.
Mhm.
And but now they are actually starting moving to experimenting AI. Most of them, the 30% of the journals are already experimented some kind of AI in the peer review, very limited. And few of the journals actually experimented assisted peer review, so very deep, and to help reviewers. The automatic peer review that is suggested in this graph, it doesn't work still, so no one is really using it. And the advantages of the assisted peer review is actually that is faster and can go deep, and it's easy to use. So you just ask to the tool to give you a report, and is giving you a report that is about many different parts of the article. The consequences, as the ones that we already mentioned, may hallucinate. And also, there are some ethical concerns about if this text that goes online, maybe then the model is using it to train again, to train against, and so it's a bit problem. And also transparency, we really don't know what is doing with it.
All right. So, what is the future?
So the future to us, to me, and it's that this is what we're doing in Review Pro. It's we want to use AI as a powerful assistant, not a replacement to peer reviewers, but I want to give them the possibility to use AI to improve their peer review and to have better revisions of the articles. And we already seen that the best results are achieved using hybrid systems, and we expect this collaboration between the peer reviewer and the artificial intelligence is going to actually train the artificial intelligence himself. And so at the end, we get a better improvement. The artificial intelligence is going to perform better and better and better. And also, this is going to rebalance a bit the efforts between the editors and the reviewers. So we've seen that there is a lot of work in revision and reviewing the articles. AI can also help editors in doing so.
Luca, I've been an editor for many years and a peer reviewer for even many more years than that. Your presentation today has been extremely helpful to me. So, thank you very much for coming forward for engagement in this video.
Thank you very much for inviting me.